Uh-oh.
Hi, we're about to start our webinar looking at what the future holds. Well, that's a complicated business, but we've got the right people to ask about it. People are just joining us now, so we'll give them a couple of minutes or so. If you'd like to say hi and introduce yourself in the chat, we can see where you are now. And that's just before we get started, but we'll be with you in a moment or two. Great. So welcome to this webinar, Technology Trends That Are Shaping the Future of Finance. And that's what our panel will be considering today. As we said, hard to predict the future exactly, but one thing we do know is things are moving fast, and we have the experts who have a good idea of exactly what's going on. We'll be providing you with a best practice guide following the session, so there's no need to make notes unless you really want to. Please put any questions you have in the chat, and we'll pick them up as far as we can. We'll also be running a couple of polls, and we'd ask you to vote in those. I'm Sue Beardsmore, and I'm joined by three experts today with a great deal of experience. Patrick Wetzels, a previous IFOL guest speaker, is the director of Quick Consulting Limited. That's a consultancy in finance and innovative technology. He's got over 20 years experience in finance, including JCI, SPX, SAI Global, Furcroft, Manchester Airport Group, and Deloitte. Skilled in project management, team development, finance processes, shared services, and finance systems. Hi, Patrick.
Oh.
Good to see you. And we're hoping to be joined by Martin Kirby, but I think he's not with us quite yet. We'll come along to him in a moment or two. And a new face who's with us today is Jeff Ruffer, Team Principal for Commercial Accounts with Esker, a global cloud platform. More of that in a moment. So Jeff, perhaps you'd introduce yourself, a little bit about yourself, and a bit about Esker too. Thank you.
Geez, sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Jeff. It's Roofer, so there's no wow. It's kind of hard, I've been in this. I've been in this industry for I don't know, more than 20 years. I started in public accounting with a really great firm that isn't around anymore, unfortunately. But and my passion is on the artificial intelligence side of things and how that will get into that in a little bit today, but and how that can be used to transform some processes. So change people's jobs, change what they do and what they focus on. That's what Esker is. So Esker is a cloud-based AI platform that helps to automate and take manual steps, workflows, things like that off of your plate so you can focus on better things, better parts of your job. And Martin's here.
I hope Martin has been able to join us. I hear he's been trying. That's one of the problems with new technologies, isn't it? Sometimes they don't always go according to plan.
I mean,
But when he gets here, he's an order-to-cash leader with extensive operational experience in leading large-scale transactional finance teams in high-volume environments for global companies. So has a lot to offer about change, how things have gone, how things will be going. So welcome everyone, and welcome to everybody who's joined us. So let's start really straightforwardly. The use of cloud-based technology. What does it mean exactly? Who wants to kick us off on that? Yeah.
I mean, I can. I mean, we're a cloud-based company, so what does that mean?
You get in there. Yes, you tell us.
I can tell you. So what cloud can mean a lot of things, right? But basically, in layman's terms, it means that the infrastructure to run the service is not on site, right? So it's in a cloud somewhere. It's in, a data center or something like that, right? Like we've all heard of like AWS, that type of thing. It exists somewhere else, and there's benefits to that. There's disadvantages to that as well. So, that infrastructure isn't on site for people to have to manage. So, IT folks doing more with less, all that kind of thing, take that off their plate. But also you need to connect to it, right? So if you're somewhere that doesn't have decent internet, or you're running an application that is very resource intensive, that can be a drawback as well, or something to think about. So, and the short answer to your question is it's resources somewhere else, out in the cloud, data center, somewhere.
Thanks very much. So maybe you'd like to discuss between you all, why are companies, in your experience, why are they moving to cloud-based, and maybe list some of those benefits and possibly a little more about the disadvantages. Patrick.
Well,
What
yeah, thank you. So, yeah, no, obviously, cloud-based means that you don't need a physical server, or at least you're not storing data on your own servers, which means from a capex perspective, that's a really big benefit. On the same token, that can also be a negative, because once you move to cloud, then going back, it's that's going to be really expensive, because the fact that once you sign up to a cloud service, it also means that you're going to be paying a subscription fee for your data storage and your data usage. So there's a real advantage and a real disadvantage if you don't want to spend huge amounts in server space and servers in order to keep your data locally, but also to safeguard it. You will actually be responsible for it. Those are all things that you don't have to worry about. But again, companies often say like, oh wow, we want to move into the cloud, and it's like, okay, but have you also realized that that's all great and with all the benefits involved, but there is also a negative, and so that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, but it's just something you have to consider.
Okay, so
it's a great point. I actually like that. There's the capex versus opex, right? So like I'm an old guy, right? So I remember any time you think about some kind of enterprise application, you're immediately like, well, we need the hardware to run that thing. And all of a sudden now it's a $250,000 project because you need, a stack of equipment, right? And to transfer that to OpEx, a lot of times that lowers the barrier for companies that maybe couldn't make that investment in the past, because now it's an operating expense. You're still paying for it, right? You're paying for the use of the equipment, but you don't have the capital outlay for the actual equipment itself. So I think a lot of times it lowers the barrier, if you will, for companies, like especially in my space. I work with commercial accounts, so under $1 billion, where capex is certainly a huge consideration, right? So that, and then I don't know, Patrick, like I think the old story is that that it takes it off the plate of IT.
Yes.
Certainly they need to manage that, right? Like it's a vendor to manage that type of thing, but you're going from managing a vendor to managing a capital piece of equipment, and everything that's related to that too, right? So I see that as another. I remember when cloud, 14, 15 years ago, when cloud was like, oh, cloud's coming, that was the big thing, right? Take it off of the plate of IT. So
yeah, exactly. And I think that's something that and I think you make a really good point about that. It actually moves out of your control to some extent. It's that you're actually looking towards a vendor now to manage this for you, which has loads of advantages. Also just means a different way of working, and also a different way of the way it's just a different way to set up your processes around it. So but I said, one of the things I've noticed is that companies don't think like what's really our data strategy. What do we really want to do? And I think if you just use cloud as this new hip term, and you're like, oh well, we need to do this, I think that's just a really bad decision to make. I think you really have to think about your data strategy, and like if you ever want to come back, then you still have to capex spend. You still have to big investment and
oh, sure.
how do you get it off cloud?
Yeah. So
if you come off cloud, you got to figure out, like I know in our industry, it's hard to find a vendor that's actually on premise. So like, yeah, you got to fit this into your digital strategy.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, so you need to start thinking about it. It's a bit of a one-way street at one moment. And it sounds as though there's so much moving in that direction, though that it's quite a problem to move back down the street if you want to. I don't know if Martin, I don't know if he can join us now. I know he was having some comms problems. If you're there, Martin, do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, I should be back, Sue. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Sorry about that. Just to show we are in a technical bubble a little bit. So that's the first time I've had problems, but I'm really back. Yeah, I remember discussing this with Patrick earlier. I mean, experience for me is we had a huge brand new billing platform, which we did the business case for, et cetera, and then realized right at the very end that tax were forcing us to cost this in the first year because it was a cloud application and we weren't owning the cloud application. I think we may have agreed something separate with tax now, but that wasn't appropriate. That certainly wasn't around originally. So my input here would be really careful when you're writing that business case, because that typical business case 3+1 or whatever you're going to do on your ROI really changes the game in two ways. It changes the game because that cost has to be different now in the business case. And then, as Patrick said, it's what do you do to bring that back to a state? You don't own the software, and that makes a massive difference on how you account for that. And I think many organizations haven't realized that. And obviously part of the sell of a cloud is it's one of the selling aspirations of a cloud product is it's cheaper, it's cloud, it's easier, but actually you need to literally look at the connotations underneath that and just be really careful on your business case has got them captured correctly. And we fell foul of the tax issue, so please don't going forward.
A lot of considerations there. I think before we move on a little bit, let's just see if we can do a poll here and ask people to tell us which of the following tech is used in their finance departments. Now, we're asking you to choose one, and I know there might be combos in some places, but maybe the main one. So just choose one: artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning, ML, blockchain, OCR, I don't know, or what the heck are they? That would be, coming from me, I guess. Because I always
vote. It says panelists can't vote. Come on.
No, you can't vote.
I know,
I'm just telling you that I know the needs of anybody.
Really.
Okay, so look, OCR and I don't know. So that gives you something to talk about, gentlemen. It's interesting, isn't it? So people will really want to hear, the advantages, why they should be thinking about it, and what's going on. So let's move on. Artificial intelligence and machine learning. So again, we've had some more input on the, sorry, it was my fault. We've had some more input on the poll. So there are people who are not as ignorant as I, know all about artificial intelligence and are using it, and machine learning. And the only one with nobody fond of it at the moment is blockchain, and everybody knows something about something, even if they don't.
Well, the interesting thing would be, right, like, obviously this isn't the format for it, but when people say AI, I'm always curious, like, okay, what does that mean to you, right?
Yes.
Like, so we use artificial intelligence. Okay, like what, tell me what that means to you and how do you define that?
Okay, well, would you like to start that discussion? No, Jeff.
Oh, I don't know.
That's exactly what we're moving on to. Well, who would like to start that discussion?
I stumbled into that.
What are we actually thinking about? Okay.
Anybody? Patrick, you go.
What is it to you, Patrick? Artificial intelligence.
Well, it's basically the tech where the computer does thinking for you, and it basically automates. It's not so much the automation, but it's basically the computer starts to think for you and starts to make so it can make future predictions, or it can do anything you want, really. It's basically you can tell it what to do, and then it will then have it in theory it has an unlimited thinking power, to come up with new results. And that's really, in the most layman terms I can put it.
Okay.
That's perfect. Yeah.
But,
And that's
but
the difference, right? So AI is software-based intelligence, right? Like it's thinking for itself, that type of thing. Machine learning also gets tossed in there as part of AI, it kind of is, right? But machine learning is, software learning from you, right? So like, for example, in Esker, right, we're going to use AI to figure out what's the invoice total, for example. So we might grab, a gross invoice total, and you say, you know what, I really want the net of the invoice. And so you'll go grab the pre-tax or whatever. And Esker's in the background then learning, like, okay, next time I see this invoice, I know you want this, right? So that's the difference. It's either learning from you or, it's programmed to learn on its own, which is cool, but also scary.
Which also makes it really, which also makes it really interesting, because often when I've heard that a company is using AI, it's really a clever series of programmed algorithms that's acting as an AI, but it's not true AI, because indeed true AI, you don't have to code it, you don't have to tell it how to do
algorithm is coding, right? An algorithm is do this when you see this, right? It's not intelligence.
I think, guys, it's simpler, isn't it? Just a simple definition of AI really is a development of a computer system that can perform tasks that normally require human intelligence. I mean, that is exactly what the definition of AI is. So a human can think it, a computer can replace it. And the really big difference is the computer replaces it so much faster. I mean, if you actually look at speech recognition, for example, it's phenomenally faster, because it can do it in the tone, the definition of what the speech is, etc. And it can do it really fast. Decision making and visual perception are huge AI business cases, I would imagine. But to me, the definition is there. Anything that requires human intelligence that can be programmed into a computer, that's AI for me. That's how that works, and it just does it on steroids, really.
Yes. So we've had one example from Jeff, a specific example of what might be going on. How are they, perhaps not generally, but other examples of where they can usefully be used in finance functions and release people to do other things? What are some good examples you've come across with your clients?
I would use the one, Sue. We have an inbound finance team that's trying to deal with our customers, understand affordability, vulnerability, can they pay, etc. So finance team for that. So where we use AI is to look at the physical speech, the physical voice, and AI can detect the tone of the voice, whether the customer is showing signs of vulnerability, whether the customer has got any worry signs. And also what AI can do is really look at the effectiveness of that call. So it's actually working on the speech and the analytics of that call, and AI is running across the top of that. And in real time, what AI can do is can alert the supervisor, the team manager, that call is being rather difficult, or that call is a stressful call. We've actually had people on calls, suggesting that they could be suicidal, and then we can move that into a different team manager that can manage that call. So for me, a really good example is using AI across that sound analytic piece, that speech analytic piece of our inbound. I mean, that's really one good. I think cash applications in finance is another really great AI tool, which is about memorizing when a customer pays and where you previously allocated the payment to, and it's having that memory to say, oh, that customer's paid, you previously allocated it to that item, and then are there any items on his current unpaid list that agree to that payment? And by the way, there are, and they all add up to this, and we haven't received the paper from the customer at this point. We've just had a payment in the bank. So I think cash application in AI is really fast as well. I mean, better AI as well, if you look at taking that journey, if you look in that more advanced journey, that cash has come in, that's been applied, and then that will have left some invoices unapplied, and AI that can advance that unapplication, these invoices have not been paid, to the dialer for the next agent to say, the customer paid, but he dropped these, he didn't pay these, can you call the customer? So that's really end-to-end AI, so.
Thanks for that. Patrick, Jeff, do you want to add any examples, anything in there to Martin?
I was just going to say that if Martin ever needs a job at Esker, let me know, because Cash App is a huge growth area for us. And that's a great example of how AI works. I mean, the voice recognition thing, that's really interesting. And my side of it's pretty boring, because it's, how can we find stuff on documents that we need to process invoices or apply cash or that kind of thing. Super boring, right? But with that was a great example.
Yeah. Patrick, do you want to add anything?
Well, it's also really in this, in the scanning and recognizing an invoice is based on a range of clients that that this company have, where basically the AI starts to learn, like, hey, if company ABC code something like this, then you will probably also want that, and it's that kind of really cleverness in really automating transactions, so really where you would have to go back and start to figure it out. It will actually come up with it. Would actually come up with a proposal. So it just makes your day easier.
So sorry, Jeff, you were.
I totally agree.
I think when it's really strong, and we talked about their voice, we're talking about really what we would call unstructured data. So when it's really strong is in unstructured data. So AI engine would be able to find you every accountant in Bristol or every accountant in the UK. It wouldn't be complex to ask AI to go and crawl the web and do that if you wanted to do that. So it's really the enabler. I think AI is really the enabler of big data. So if you've got big data, and we take some of the big issues that we've seen in the UK, like, towers that have burnt down. Why did they burn down? Their cladding wasn't good. What you're really trying to get to with the cladding is, where was that manufactured and where was that mined? And actually the issue was in the sand that was mined was below.
Right.
But you aren't going to do that in a typical structured data matter. You're only going to do that where you've got unstructured data. And that's where AI does that so much more powerfully, in my experience. CV's in the post, Jeff, by the way. Thanks.
Can I?
It's kind of boring, right? But we use that unstructured data. Like, think about an invoice. There's not two invoices that look the same, right? But that we built this AI engine, and we threw 3 million invoices at it, so it could learn what an invoice is and where stuff is, right? And now you can throw an invoice at it and it says, okay, I know you need this data, right? It's kind of boring, but
no,
it works.
Can I just ask? I mean, you've looked at some of the new stuff like voice recognition. You've looked at looking at invoices in a different way and being able to use it for that. What does all this mean? And we haven't got long to talk about it, but just a few ideas. What might it mean for the workforce when companies use these new tools?
I mean,
sorry, Jeff, go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, go.
No. I was actually going to say, like, it will really reduce time and make your day easier. But therefore, you can then spend your time on things that have more value. And actually spend your time on work that's actually valuable. Trying to find out what the coding is based on the company. That's not going to add any significant value. Doing the analysis, why certain spend is being done on X category of spend. Now there's value.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to enhance the ability of their opportunity as an employee. I have 3 credits. I have 3 analysts. 50% of their time is spent crunching the data. With AI model, that doesn't happen. They spend analyzing the data, which is really what I employ them for. So you're going to take the current performance of the FTE to a different level. They're really going to start to really take that modeling and really start to use that modeling where generally half of the time is spent in creation, and AI really gets there faster. The interesting thing is the model that goes on beyond that, because once you've actually got to that level where you're really doing the analysis and you're feeding that back in, and we see this a lot in speech, is that the AI remembers that. So it's going to take you to a different level the next time. So you now it's the glue moving up the steps. So if you think of a stairs, and every time you go up the stairs, you've got some glue that's holding you on that stairs, and then you go to the next stairs and there's more glue. And that's exactly what the AI is. AI is the glue getting you up the stairs, up to the rack. And then when you go on the top of the rack, then the AI guy is there as well. So that's where I think it is. I think it's just more of an enabler to get the best out of individuals. And that's the way I would sell that in.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. There's two things, right? There's one, we're going to change your job, right? Like you're not doing the stuff the manual stuff that AI can do for you. So now you're able to do like either manage the process better. Like now you've got the data of, what vendor sends the best purchase order, right? Like what vendor sends the worst? How do we work with that vendor to make the process itself better? But then also like, externally, now you've got information on spend and things like that maybe you did in the past, that you can manage that better too. So.
Okay, a quick view from each of you, perhaps. You've talked about ROI, you've talked about numbers of invoices, so we're talking about different magnitudes of things. Would you say every company, whatever size, should look at the possibilities at the very least of some of these new technologies? Or do you come across people who say, look, we are so small, we're not even thinking about it now? How would you respond to all of that?
It's the last bit of that point for me is the bit that I really sort of love. You can't be too small to scale this tech. And if you want to enable your organization to be more efficient, then start thinking about this tech, because you're not too small. It doesn't need a Unilever or a huge organization to scale this tech. This tech has been delivered, as we've talked about, on the cloud. This tech is affordable, as we've talked about, but it is now within your grasp. I'm not saying AI is plug and play, but it's not far off. So plug and play to me, Windows plugs in, my headset didn't work earlier, the other one did. So, this is where AI is. And workers going forward, for me, if you fast track 10 years, we'll have this in the kit bag. We all can do Excel because we were trained in that. Hopefully 10 years time, we can all do AI because we already understand it. And then that's where I am at with this piece.
Yeah. It's very scalable as well too, right? So a lot of it is like usage based. So the barrier to entry for like getting on the platform or whatever it may be is diminished, and it's like a usage based system. So yeah, small companies, big companies, yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, it can really help you become really disruptive. And I think that's the interesting thing. It can actually make you stand out quicker, because you don't necessarily need a massive workforce to do the work for you. So I think that's what. But again, kind of going back to the beginning, I think every company, big or small, really need to think about its data strategy, but its digital strategy. I think that's where if you just follow the trend because it's cool, I think that's where it's good. That's where it's going to fall down. It's going to get potentially really expensive. So, but if you do things well thought through, and you really think through your strategy, and you really invest your time and your money in that, then whatever you're going to be using to your advantage.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's a good, like Martin kind of said that earlier, right? Like spend the smart money. I'm like paraphrasing your comment there, Martin, but like, do the ROI, do the analysis, make sure you're thinking about everything. Like, spend the smart money, right?
Okay.
Yeah. But just to spin back on Patrick there, and not trying to throw it out there as a bit of a negative, but the new tools work better with unstructured data than we've ever seen before. So in the past, where that data process, that data cleanse would be an integral part of any process of taking a new system on, with the new tools, you can get there so much faster and so much more cost effective. So there are some new ways of thinking. If it's unstructured, do I care? Just set the AI tool on there. It's going to get there. It's going to be clunky for the AI guy, but do I care? The other thing I think we've not mentioned is the transparency in the cost of AI is really there. Many vendors are selling that as an employee, and the employees, the cost of an AI employee can be worked at different times as well. So, there's various ways of costing that in. So there's not a slugger cost. You know, you can buy them in overnight, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a bit like the RPA model. AI is being sold in as that sort of model as well, which is really effective when you're trying to do what we call about early OPEX. If you're trying to really manage that OPEX, then it's a really easy entry, low entry level.
But you know, but I do think at least you need to think about which part of the process, you know, do you want to use it? You know, I think, you know, if you're just putting it in just for the sake of it, I think that's not going to be helpful. You know, it needs to be able to be valuable. And I think that's I think that's also part of the strategy, really. I think, you know, it's so yeah. And
okay, I'm going to move us on now to, we've looked at those, there's some research on the ITIL website about who's using what and the top 3 ways of moving on. But one thing or word or whatever you like that's bandied around a lot in rising technologies is blockchain. Probably misunderstood in a lot of cases and lots of questions about it. But who wants to give us, as we've done with the others, a brief summary of what it is and how it can be used in finance?
Well, it's basically it's in the very, very basics. These are blocks of validated timestamped transactional data which are cryptographically connected in chronological order. And that's where the name comes from. It actually creates a chain. It will then get distributed through this wide interconnected network of unlimited devices, really, rather than storing it in one central database. So that means that so therefore every entry, every new block that really represents an exchange of value between participants. So, for instance, a digital asset that moves from one owner to the next, and then really a properly functioning blockchain. It records transactions. It records transactional data in the real time and in a way that's almost impossible to manipulate. So that's really blockchain in the theoretical kind of basic sense. Now there's a huge amount of progress in that, in development, because for instance, the most well-known blockchain, that's Bitcoin, is basically it's currency that's not being centrally owned by a bank. It's a digital currency that's being distributed, but even though it has all these really great advantages, is that it's because of the fact that it's on a blockchain, it's safe, it's safe, and it's actually it's immutable. It also has a very high energy consumption, which means that a lot of projects that started on an open blockchain, which basically means an open blockchain means anyone can read, write, or join. You see a movement towards definitely over the last couple of years, so towards the private blockchains, where the access is controlled, who actually has access to it, and the permissions are set. But the fundamentals are still the same. Data is not, but anyone can own it, but no one can control it. So, and I think that's really at the crux of it. So yeah, that's I hope that wasn't too theoretical.
Thank you for setting us off. Martin, do you want to add anything to that? I know it's one of your interests as well.
It really is. It really is. I think Patrick nails it really in many things. I think the thing for me is it works in areas where the verification and traceability of multi-step transactions is needed, and that's his success. We look at early adopters to that. If you look at house buying or buildings buying, it's fantastic because you've got all that know your customer onboarding, all that data, and you can literally do the house buying step without a solicitor anymore because the blockchain now allows that to go through. It provides secure transactions, reduces compliance costs, and as you know, we all have compliance costs: internal audit, external audit, regulation, and it just speeds up data processing. I think the principal challenge associated with blockchain is really a lack of awareness of the technology, and we're there years away. You know, we've been into blockchain. I remember talking about it 6 years ago, especially in sectors other than banking. And we talked about crypto and banking, and that's why you got Ethereum as well. These are all products of blockchain. But to me, other than banking, there's a widespread lack of understanding of how it works. And that's hampering the investment and exploration of blockchain. And it has gone so far, and then it's tied back. If you look at big promoters of blockchain, IBM have actually pulled out of blockchain now. So you can see that the big organizations have tried to run with the new tech and then have found it really difficult to scale that. I think some of the more fundamental problems with blockchain is the speed of blockchain is not easy.
Right.
It's really slow to create a chain, and gets really slower the complexity of the chain, as Patrick alludes to. So what you're doing is getting organizations now creating processes on and off the chain. So they'll take a process off the chain, do that bit of completion, then bring it back on the chain, and then that'll fast track that through. But, you know, as I said before, to me, the greatest example is one that's used by Walgreen on blockchain, and the one I've experienced myself is I like to pick the apple up from Walgreen, put it on the scanner, and see the lad who's paid the wage picking the apple from the orchard. That gives me a lot of soft understanding, and if blockchain is about producing that, then that's great. And if Unilever can process an invoice in their back office for less than a cent, I've got both ears fully open, you know, to that as well. So I think it's there. I think we've got more to do, and it would help matters greatly if crypto or that digital coinage was more accepted, and we're still in a, you know, we're still in a place where that's not quite there yet. I think if that comes on board, then I think it moves faster. But yeah, I think it's there. I don't think organizations are going to invest in it massively, unless you're in the financial sector, and then I can see the relevance of that. Other organizations, I think, are going to stand back a little bit and say, let's wait. That's just my opinion. I think it's great. I love it. You know, I've watched some of the original IBM models. My brother-in-law is a lead blockchain guy, so I get it every weekend in one ear and then in the other ear, so I get it. But I think it's going to be around for a while. But let's hope it speeds up a little bit.
So it's going to be around, but it's in a sort of a state of development that needs extra work. And also, I'm interested in your view. Is it being not held back because it needs that development, but in the public perception of somebody who just hears about it, doesn't know too much about it, there are two problems. Sounds very complicated. Where do you use it? And the energy that it allegedly uses all the time. Now, I imagine there are developments on those fronts.
Yes.
So perhaps you'd like to tell us a little bit about them, Patrick.
Healthcare is one of them as well. You know, Patrick can kick on, but you know, healthcare and the real estate industry, which I alluded to right at the opening, is that, you know, they're two massive areas where people can feel that day one. If you look at if you go to Sanitas, which is the Bupa equivalent in Spain, when you go there, you walk into the door, you've got your health record, and the minute you put your fingerprint in the door, and that health record, from a scan to an heart monitor to a nurse to a triage, by the time you get to the end, all you do is put your thumb, and then that blockchain is recording that whole journey, and then that's going down to your doctor at the same time, theory, up to the consultant. And so the outcome of your visit is being dealt with very efficiently across all on the chain and off the chain. So yeah. So anyway, I'll shut up and let Patrick.
No, that's fine. That's fine. You know, because indeed, because I do think there are already many applications. I'm pretty sure that everyone on everyone on this webinar, but also people watching it, everyone at some point in their life is already using a blockchain based application. It's already but the thing is, the name is starting to disappear. It's so because at the front end nothing changes. It's the back end process that changes. So and it's really perfect for anything related to digital assets. So for instance, where you see a huge increase in it, it's for instance in tickets. So tickets to concerts, sports events, etc. It's perfect because once you own your ticket, you have full proprietary ownership to the ticket. Anyone who makes a picture of it, it won't work. You can't make a snapshot of that ticket and then try to get in, because it's actually cryptographically it's actually locked in, and which means that the QR code constantly changes.
Okay.
So for instance, during the Euro 2020, all ticket sales were done on they were actually done on the blockchain. So it's something that people have been using, but they didn't realize that that's what they were using. So so definitely think on the digital asset side, it's definitely not going to go away. Healthcare, indeed. I'm currently working on a big project around healthcare, where there's this company in the US who've built this healthcare platform where basically every part of your health is whether that's from a GP, a specialist, anything that you put on yourself gets consolidated. That actually gets consolidated on the blockchain.
Okay. I'm going to have to move us on a little bit because we've only got a couple more minutes left. I want to squeeze in a quick poll, and I'm guessing that briefly sustainability is being looked at in blockchain.
Yes, it is.
Never going to win us over, is it?
It is.
So quick poll, if everybody could get ready. It's multiple choice. Which of the following are you focused on in the next 12 months, would you say, in your company? Implement invoicing solution, new ERP, OCR scanning, digital payments, RPA process automation, fraud prevention. So what are your big interests? Because we can take this information from you and go away and have a little look at it and think about it for maybe future learning, future webinars, future experts. So pretty much all over the shop. Everybody's considering all those items: implement invoicing solutions, new ERP, OCR scanning, digital payments, and there's one sort of winner, if winner's the word, RPA process automation and fraud prevention coming in there. So thank you very much indeed for joining in that. I'm just going to say, with our last minute, is there anything any of our experts think they want to have one last word on? Or have you covered things as briefly as you can, really? Complicated issues, and it's good to hear your thoughts because that sends us away to think about more things.
I think the last poll's interesting, isn't it? RPA technology is what people are thinking about. I'm not saying that's yesterday's technology because that may not get me anywhere, but we may say
you're going to get emails, Martin. You're going to get emails. You can't say that.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting that RPA is one of the key ones, I think so.
Okay. Well, thank you very much indeed, everybody. Thanks to our panel of experts, Martin Kirby, Jeff Rufer and Patrick Wetzels. And thanks to you for joining us. For more information on membership of IFOL and our courses, please go to the IFOL website. This webinar is available on demand on the IFOL website from tomorrow. Please share it with anybody you think may be interested, and we'll send a link to top suggestions and a PDF best practice guide. So thank you very much indeed, gentlemen. It was great to be with you today. Thanks for everyone for joining us. Goodbye.
Thank you.